Hi guys, 2 days before level 3, which is quite exciting because then everyone's going to go and be able to buy their booze. I'm going to do another snack in anticipation of the great drinks that we're going to have. I'm just going to do some Scotch eggs, and I only have 4 eggs on me, which is enough because I don't have more than that in the pork mince. So I have flour which I'm going to season. I've got beaten egg, and I've got breadcrumbs. I have sunflower oil, and I'm going to boil my eggs. I'm going to try very hard, because these are room temperature, to do a 3-minute boiled egg and try and keep it whole. Might have to go to 4 minutes because I want the yolk to be only medium by the time we finish cooking the whole thing. So water's boiling, putting the eggs in very carefully because I don't want them to break. And you have to heat the air pocket slowly before you drop your eggs into the water. Here we go. So now we're going to time it for 4 minutes, I think. 4 minutes is up, so I'm just putting them straight into some cold water to stop the cooking. And I'm just going to gently crack the egg to let the water sort of go in between the shell and the egg, which makes peeling it a lot easier. Let that cool a bit before I attempt to peel it. So let's start the peeling process. I want to just see how these eggs are, because if they've got that skin around them, it's a nightmare. So this membrane you need to kind of detach, and then what I do is slide a spoon under, and it often just helps you get the shell off so much more easily. If they're very fresh, it's really hard to peel them. These are nice and soft, I can feel. So because my eggs haven't been broken or pierced in any way, and they are very soft, I'm going to put it back into this cold water. So that is a very soft boiled egg. Put it gently back into the water to finish cooling, and then tackle the next one. So as luck would have it, my first egg was perfect and my last egg was perfect, but the second one that I did, I have broken. You can see how soft it is. So I'm going to see if I can still kind of get it to be a Scotch egg. We'll give it a shot. But I'm going to leave that one last so that you can actually see how to do it properly. So I've wet my hand, and I'm now going to, I've seasoned the pork mince, sausage meat, with sage, thyme, salt and pepper. So I'm going to flatten a disc of the mince, and I'm fairly sure you could do this with for vegetarians, not vegans, with like chickpeas, like a falafel mixture, and breadcrumbs, or be interesting to experiment with that. Obviously vegans, no. Okay, so we're going to build the mince around the egg as gently as possible. Seal it. Because you need this egg to be completely enclosed in this meat. Okay, so now we've got an enclosed egg, soft egg, and we just make sure, absolutely sure, there's no holes that the oil can get through, and bugger up the softness of it. Okay, so now we've got this fully enclosed egg. Now we're going to bypass the broken egg, put it into the flour, into the egg, and then into the breadcrumbs. Then it's going to go just onto a plate, and then it needs to be chilled. So if I chill this nicely, it might hold together just long enough to fry without it all sort of coming apart. Okay. So these I'm just going to put into the freezer for a few minutes. I just want to show you a tip if you don't have a thermometer. If you put your wooden spoon in and it doesn't fizz, your oil is not the right temperature. So when we want to check that the oil is the right temperature, put a wooden spoon in, and when it starts fizzing, then that's, you know, that's about 170, 180 degrees, which is great for frying. So that's what we're going to do. Wait for that. That's why I just wanted to show you that before we actually get to the frying stage. Right, let's check the temperature of the oil. You can see it's starting to fizz. So that means that the oil is now coming up to the right temperature to start frying. So let's put one in. So I'm just putting a bit of oil on the spoon so that it slides off easily. Now we need it to get a nice crust on it, and we don't want the temperature of the oil to be too high, because it has got to cook that meat through without burning the outside. Okay, this is about 2-3 minutes. I've just turned them, and you can see they're colouring nicely on the bottom. So I've got to watch these and just keep turning them so that the heat permeates all over, but without burning it in one spot. Beautiful golden brown. They look like fat cook. So obviously if you're doing your own breadcrumbs, I've bought breadcrumbs from the bakery section. The coarser your breadcrumbs, then you get a slightly different look. If you do them in panko, then that's beautiful, because then you're getting a really lovely crisp layer. So these look very much like Magunya or fat cook or whatever language you want to call them. Pitambuya. All the languages of all the countries I've lived in where the kids, this is the fat cook are such winners. So I'm going to take these out and hope like hell this is cooked through, because at this stage, you know, there's a bit of a, but I think the one I made quite thick, so I'm going to leave that one last and take this out. And before I take the others out, I'm just going to give it a little investigative cut through to see. Okay, so the egg yolk is absolutely perfect, as you can see, and the mince is cooked. So that is what you call a very successful Scotch egg. So the best way to serve these is room temperature, and with a nice salad. You know, it's a great supper to have. I'm just checking here. Actually, I'm talking rubbish. Have a look here. This is where it's quite thick and it's not fully cooked through here. So just be careful of that. The yolk ran over here so that I didn't notice that. So you can see if where you've made it too thick, that needs to be cooked. So now I'm in a world of pain because I don't have a microwave oven and I can't actually put that in the oil. But I'm going to have to put just that section in the oil because it needs to be cooked. So to be on the safe side, I put these other ones back in, and then these are going to be totally ruined and not my beautiful Scotch eggs that I showed you. But you know, no one wants to eat raw pork mince. So I've just put it back in to cook through. And they'll still be tasty, but the yolk won't be nice and loose anymore. But the other ones should be fine. Right, so the theory of cooking meat, as you know, or should know, is to rest meat. Because when you rest meat, it continues cooking. So for me to cut those open to show you immediately, the meat didn't continue cooking, which it would have probably done. So these I've taken out, and I'm not going to touch these until they are much cooler. I mean, typically you eat Scotch eggs when they're room temperature. So I'm going to let these come to room temperature, and these are considerably bigger than this one was. So the heat, the residual heat in here is going to continue cooking it without overcooking it. So it should be fine, and the egg yolk should not be adversely affected. So my butchered ones, which I have cut into far too early to show you, will be fine to eat, but that's, you know, strictly for starving people only and not for general public consumption. So we'll check these out when they come to room temperature. Okay, so let's cut this open. Oh, before I do that, the reason that this egg was like this, I realized when I looked at the thickness of the meat. This is the buggered egg, the one that was broken. So when I built the meat up around it to try and cover it and tried to take some of the excess meat off, I totally got the proportions wrong. That's why you need to have a thin coating of meat around it like this, and that's why it didn't cook through. So let's have a look at this one here. Okay, beautiful, soft, and the meat is perfectly cooked all the way around, as you can see. Okay. So obviously, if you want your eggs to be, if the thought of eating a soft yolk fills you with horror, and I know lots of people like that, cook your eggs longer, so that you have a medium to hard egg in the middle. I like to have a soft yolk, so for me that is absolutely perfect. But it can be a little bit further done as well, which is good. At least the meat is properly cooked in this one, so have fun with it. In the meat mixture, even try things like finely grated parmesan. That would be really nice inside the meat mixture as well. Fresh herbs, all sorts of stuff. I had sage and thyme in mine, and salt and pepper. And you can have fun with all different types of flavorings in the meat, as well as having a little bit of cheese in there. So have fun. Cheers.